Episode 14, CineNerds. I'm James.
I am JP.
And I'm Ryan.
And today we're doing one of my picks. I picked the 2005 movie Red Eye. Is it Cillian? Is that how you
I think it's Cillian.
Cillian?
We're going to say it's Cillian.
It's not syphilis.
It's not Chilean like I like to call
Chilean.
it.
Yeah, Chilean. I don't know why I picked this movie other than I've only saw it once. I wanted to see it again, and I figured, well, now's a good time. You're welcome.
It's the first time watch for me, so yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've never seen this?
Nope.
Oh.
Huh. See, I saw it on TV once, so I saw cut.
I remember when this came out to the
edited
theater,
versions.
and I wanted to go to the theater and watch it, and I never got a chance. And when it came out on DVD, I actually bought this on DVD on a blind buy. I never had seen it, and watched it for the first time after it came out on DVD. And when it came out, after I watched it, I was like, I enjoyed it. I liked it as a film, but I honestly do not remember watching it again until the other week when I watched it. So it's been almost 20 years probably since I watched it.
Did you
How old is
remember
this
most
movie?
of it? 2005.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I remembered the premises of it. I forgot that I couldn't remember why he was targeting her.
Same.
And
in my head, I thought he was going after the flight, but then I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
No,
'cause I remembered him going after her after, so I couldn't remember everything. So.
I remembered he wasn't going after the plane. He was going after something for her specifically. I just couldn't remember what it was until I started watching it.
My ADA brain kicked in way too fast on this one. As soon as I saw that she had a political client, and as soon as he was targeting her at the airport specifically, that's where I instantly went. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, as soon as I started watching it again, that's when I was like, oh, yeah, this is what's happening. I remember now. But, like, trying to remember what it was about before I started watching it, I
just realized over the years, like, whatever Cillian Murphy does, I'm pretty okay with.
Hell yeah.
I love
yeah.
Peaky Blinders, but I also learned with Peaky Blinders, if you didn't catch what was being said, go back and make sure you understand it, because there's a lot of funny smack talk.
Oh, yeah.
And you also miss some plot points because the accents are so thick in that show that, like, especially when season. Well, when Tom Brady, what's his name?
Hardy.
Tom Hardy comes in. He
Brilliant,
is
brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, he's great, but man, his accent and his dialect is so thick, and he's an asshole, and it's hilarious. So I know we're not talking about that, but I'm just saying, like, when Peaky Blinders came out, it made me focus more on him and what he's done. We talked about it for a minute. I feel his version of Scarecrow could have been 100 times better, and I thought he played the part perfect. I just think they did him wrong. It's kind of like Jared Leto as the Joker. We've talked about that before. I think they did him wrong.
Well, he's in two of my favorite, not my very favorite. Well, one of them is probably one of my favorites, but I love two of these movies that Danny Boyle did that he stars in, which one is Sunshine, which I think is an underrated.
I was going to talk about it.
It's an underrated science fiction film.
Never saw it.
And it stars Cillian Murphy and Chris Evans. And the other one, which is one of my favorite movies, I think any top horror list that doesn't have this movie in it is not an accurate list, because I think it's one of the greatest horror films ever made. And it's a Danny Boyle film that stars Cillian Murphy, which is 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later for me is such a realistic approach at a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, yes.
The way that it transpires through virus, not just the dead coming back to life and coming up out of the ground. The way that we mess with everything so much today in society, science just keeps pushing the next level.
Well,
right?
and the thing about that movie that Danny Boyle did when he did that movie was it was not so much about the zombies as much as it was about the people who survived and how shitty they became and how horrible people can be. And in a disaster is always the vibe I got from.
Well, we talked about that at great length in The Mist.
Yeah.
The Mist had that same vibe where you see the brutality of people and their moments of being backed into a corner, if you will.
This particular movie for me, though, it's kind of funny because I'm sitting at the Orlando airport waiting 12 hours for me to get on a flight. It's a long story. And I'm like, well, I should knock a movie out. And I was like, oh, I might as well do mine. And I'm like, then I started and I go, what the fuck am I thinking? Like, turning this on as I'm about to get on a flight in a couple hours. Like, not that it mattered because it really wasn't attacking a flight, you know. But, yeah, I found it a little humorous, a little ironic that I did that. But this movie, I thought was done really well. I am a little surprised at the budget for this movie, considering most of it was shot in a fake plane.
Yeah, it's in one location for the most part.
Yeah.
They were on a tight budget, though, from my understanding, so that's why they had to limit things like that.
I'm just surprised it cost as much as it did.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's probably,
I'm usually we'll talk about something, but it was a $26 million budget, and like, where was that?
You're talking Rachel McAdams post Notebook, so like so you got Rachel McAdams, Cillian's up and
You're
comer.
looking at Wes Craven directing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Cillian Murphy was
Coming up.
he was a fairly known actor. He was coming up at that point.
He
too.
already did Batman.
Yeah.
Return.
He'd already did 28 Days Later. He'd already did Sunshine.
No, Sunshine came out after Red. Let me
Did it?
double check. Yeah, Sunshine was 2007. Red Eye was 2005.
Okay.
But this movie, I thought that the plot was good. I mean, her grandmother dies. She's just trying to get home on a red eye flight back to Miami, and in line, waiting, and there's delays, and everyone's getting pissy, and it's the same shit you see all the time at an airport. I mean, I've been delayed to where I sat in Las Vegas. I should have been getting home when the flight took off. It's frustrating. But she. Yeah, that. But and she runs into him in line, and she's trying to calm one guy down, and then he's like, "Hey, we're on the same boat, bud. Calm down." And I love his name.
I can't remember what his name was now.
You remember it?
It was something very reminiscent of other horror films or something.
Jackson Ripper.
That's what it was, yeah. Like Jack the Ripper.
Ripper.
But was it his name? Because there's a part that threw me off with that where aren't her father's initials JR? And
yes.
he said he used that to his advantage somehow in the movie.
I will say it does have it listed as just Jackson Ripner.
Right.
I think he just got lucky.
Possibly, but I do think it's also a very nice planned plot hole too.
Sure.
If that was what he chose, so he could have the initials be the same.
Agreed. And he sticks up for her and then says, "Hey, I'm gonna have would you want to have a drink?" And she.
Oh, he's way more slide than that, dude. He did that great.
Yeah, he did, but I mean, that's what he was
It was those blue eyes. It was those blue eyes sucked right.
I've got a whole thing about the blue eyes. We'll get there too.
But he, and she ends up going to sitting down with him. But then he gets a phone call, and then that's when you realize, okay, this isn't right. And then magically they end up next to each other on the plane, which is really interesting. Now, before all of this happened, we should talk about how in her father's house, someone broke in, stole his wallet. And he said, "I can't find my wallet." He's got a lot of work going on at the house, so who knows, And then as they take off, he says, "Hey, I'm just here for you," which would scare the shit, I think, out of anybody. If you get on a flight and you can't go anywhere, and you find out that someone's sitting outside your parents' house, if you don't do what I tell you, they're dead. I think that would set anybody into a little bit of a frenzy. Did I miss something?
No.
Just making sure.
That whole story, the whole way it builds in, though, I think it does go back to those blue eyes. So I have a whole thing with this. So do you guys remember? Well, I know you do, but the actress Meg Foster?
Yeah.
By chance? Okay,
yeah.
She had these insane blue eyes, hypnotizing almost. So it made you more believable to the character, and that's what I think Cillian brings to the table in any movie he's in. See, especially with Peaky, you can tell, and even the Oppenheimer poster, he uses those when he's talking to Rachel McAdams' character.
It almost calms everybody.
Yeah, it's a
Get away with anything.
It's a sense of calm. It's a sense of belief. It's a sense of trust,
calmness, and
it helps get it across the finish line.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Or in the case of the Peaky Blinders situation, it delivers, I'm going to fuck you up. So I think there's a powerful aspect behind that helps drive the story along too with this character.
I agree with that. She runs a hotel, and it's funny because I just rewatched the episode of Andre when he, and the League. And he's gonna marry his interior decorator, which is the girl that's running the front desk. So I see her and I go, "Oh, it's her." You need to watch that episode.
I'm about to review and revisit all of the League.
The League is so fucking
I
good.
only saw the first 2 seasons, so
she's allergic to his semen.
Yes.
So we'll leave it at that.
What kind of allergy are we talking?
Like
a little bit of lip swelling,
deadly.
Like throat closing, can't breathe.
That sucks.
Like straight up, he gets told your semen will kill her.
That's the worst.
Well, the wedding's even better.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you got this asshole couple at the front desk who just thinks that because they stay there all the time, they should get whatever they want. And you got the girl who's trying to hold down the fort while boss is away, who's obviously super nervous, doesn't want to screw up, kind of saying the wrong things and how to calm. You don't ever say calm down to someone who's upset unless you don't give a shit. And so she calls, and they get it taken care of. And then they get on the flight, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm here for you. And all I need you to do is call the front desk.
Change the room.
Move this one guy from this room to this room." But they're friends. The guy's there all the time. His family's there. And so she tries every which way to stop this, but she can't because there's a guy sitting outside her dad's house waiting to kill her if she doesn't do what's told. And I really appreciated the little nuances that they did to try to throw him off. The lady who, "Oh, can you help me again? Bitch, you can get your shit up there.
Yeah.
If your shit's that heavy, you shouldn't have brought it."
I think at that point she was flirting.
The second time, I can see that. The old lady with the book.
Yeah.
That was slick. No, give me the highlighter. But you also got to appreciate Cillian Murphy catching all of it. "No, I lost my book." "Oh, did you?" "Yeah, because I already took it, you fucking dick." I don't know. I mean, that would be one of the longest flights I'd ever, I just, these are the things that happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy that these things actually happen. Whatever happened 9/11, a plane still went into a building. I don't care who did it and who executed what and how it really went down. 2 planes went into buildings. People got on that flight not expect 3. Yeah, you're right. 3. Well, the towers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. 3. But we all get on flights just expecting to land and go see our family or wherever, vacations or wherever. And this shit really does happen. And I think that's why I like it, because not that I want it to happen with me on a flight. None of those people on that flight even knew what the hell was going on.
Except for the little girl.
Yeah, except for the little girl. Yeah, the little girl. And go figure. The little girl goes, nope.
Yeah.
Which...
That little girl called his bullshit so hard and so fast. Dude, she was like, "Fuck this dude, he's shady." Like, she says the look about her. I was like, okay, I like her.
And you have to understand, Dad's just been probably, if I took it right, he was just remodeling the whole house because they just went through a divorce. He's just bored.
Yeah.
He wants things different. Probably things that he wanted to do that the mom said no. Well, now it's my house. I'm going to do whatever I want, so... I don't know. I what would you do in that situation? If someone's next to you saying, "Look, this is what's going to happen if you don't do this," do you just comply to get it over with?
I mean, there was nothing else she could do.
No.
I mean,
So I think that the course, the way that it was handled, wasn't she ended up making the call, but then she did everything she could to try and prevent the result. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that because that's essentially what I would do. Because you got to be realistic about this. Like, you're only buying yourself time by doing what they're asking because they're still going to take you out. You're still a witness. You're still left over. Yeah. So they're gonna come back for you and they're gonna finish. So there's no one that can speak to this. So I think she handled it right. I think that I think it was pleasant to watch her figure it out too because she is Rachel McAdams A+. But no, she did it well and she did everything she could in her power to try and get around having to call and make that change. The hotel rooms had to be adjusted, by the way. I don't think we gave that context. They
did move the rooms,
yeah,
but then they see that boat out in the water, and they send a whole crew out there just to scan the boat. and I thought that was genius how it was just hidden in the water. They looked like they were fishing.
Yeah.
So I don't think we really broke down, though, how we got to where we're talking about.
Okay.
That's what I was going to try and elaborate a little
for
further.
it.
So essentially, with Rachel McAdams' character running this hotel and trying to be like that PR person with the clients, she has a political guest, a person of interest for that moment, who's going to be staying at the hotel, who's a regular. She has his regular room lined up, and with that room being lined up, Cillian Murphy's aware of this, but he needs that political person of interest to be in another room to essentially get him assassinated. And so all these things are in motion. He's trying to have her call using her father against him to get that moment where she moves the hotel room, does what he says, and then he can effectively assassinate this guy. So here we are. James is talking about a boat that's at distance of the hotel room. And I found this part really fucking great.
Yeah, like they
little
scanned
tidbit.
the whole boat.
Yeah.
And they can't find shit. And they look like they're just out there fishing. And all of a sudden, here comes this giant bazooka gun that
They
was
pulled it
just
right up out of the water. It was right at the bottom of the fishing
it was
line.
a great way to hide it. You know, like, how can you scan a whole boat and not find it? Oh, because it wasn't on the boat.
Yep.
You know, and they were hooked to it the whole time. But man, when that thing shot, I was like, good God. Like, how's that building even going to stay? Like, that thing was huge.
It was like an anti-aircraft bazooka.
But the thing is, with that particular part, I really appreciated like you said, the effort she put in after. And the phone's dying, of course. You know, you got to have some kind of dramatics with that to say, hey, get him out.
But leading up to the book was a clever way to do that. Obviously, Cillian found out what was going on with her. The headbutt, by the way. We were talking
about that.
Yeah, when he headbutted her and knocked her out cold to get to that lady, I was like, huh, okay. Didn't see that coming.
He knocked her the
fuck
fuck
he
out.
did. He fucking headbutted the shit to the point where his forehead was bleeding. She comes to, he's holding the book, and she looks back and sees the woman who's sleeping. We can only assume. I don't know how, but she is sleeping because of something he has done. And then what else? She writes on the bathroom mirror.
They do end up in the bathroom. She ends up in the bathroom, and he's like, okay, this is taking too long. But yeah, she was trying to find it. Well, I mean, ultimately, she went in that bathroom just to
get away from
lose her shit. And she's crying, and she doesn't know what to do. And then she wrote on the mirror his seat number, if I remember right.
I don't remember.
I believe it was a seat number, yeah.
And then he was like, no.
Seat number has a bomb.
Has a bomb, yeah.
Yep.
And she tried, but ultimately, I mean, guys like this ain't gonna just walk away and go, okay, yeah, go. Like, initially he goes, here's a bottle. If you remember, he tries to hand her a bottle. Like, she's like, I'm not doing that. You know, like, but he beats the shit out of her in that bathroom too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty brutal alone. Because I mean, like, dude, I am on a mission to never have to use a restroom on a flight.
I never have. I'm usually too drunk to get up to go to the bathroom.
On our last episode, we discussed fears and what we have to do to get through them. And JP and I both take anxiety pills on flights, but JP has to coat them with a few beverages.
God.
And by the way, I was traveling as well when I watched this film. So it was like I was second day in the hotel, and I'm deathly afraid of flights. So like I start watching this, and the first thing I see when they get on the airplane, I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't watch this right now. This probably isn't a good idea.
On the flight, so everyone
Yeah.
around just like, what's wrong with this guy?
No, that was for me, the hotel, but I still was scaring the shit out of me for
Yeah.
a flight.
See, I personally, I take flights as a way to just check out and relax. Play some games, download whatever I want to watch, phone's off, can't look at Facebook, can't look at, like, it's just a good way to just go, I'm done. You know, or if you got JP with you, then, you know, the show starts.
People love flying with me.
I'm going to ask Julie if she can just book us flights to the first show just so I can see it.
You better log in their internet on the airplane and go live with me. I need to see this shit.
My Frontier flights haven't even had internet lately. I really liked, and I'm jumping really far ahead right now, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I love how she just gave the old couple shit at the end. That made like, because that would never happen. You would never, but it needs to happen.
No.
People like that need to be put in their place more.
Here's my thing. Like, for me, if I was in her position, for me, it absolutely would have happened.
It would have happened, yeah.
Because you just saved a political person.
Your hotel's blown up.
But because of what you've been through with that job, I don't care if the hotel's blown up. If everyone's safe and you've done your job and you were kidnapped because of that hotel, they're paying up. They're paying up. So I don't care what I say. If they want to write a customer review, I'm going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that I've hit a point in my life at my age now where I'm not holding myself well. The day before I flew back, the morning I flew back, down at the airport, I went off on a lady at a restaurant depot.
Oh, I remember. I saw the post.
Because she was just trying to cut lines, just being an asshole. And I told her she was being a dumb bitch. And I wasn't too proud of myself when I walked out. But in the same aspect, like, I saw what was going on. I go in there for one thing and ended up in line for an hour because of how everyone's trying to get shit for the restaurants. I'm going in just for one thing, for popcorn. And this lady I was not in the mood, you know, and I just kind of feel like we need to go back to that. We got to stop tiptoeing around people who are just, because that's why they just do it all the time, because they can get away with it. It's why kids get away with what they get away with.
Accountability.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, and so for these two, after the building just got bombed, fire alarm pulled, and you're mad about your trip, go fuck yourself. You know, I just don't get that. Fun fact that I just couldn't remember I knew his name and I couldn't remember, but I love the fact that her dad is
Super Troopers.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me until after I looked, I'm like, why do I know that name? And he doesn't look like the same in this. I mean, Super Troopers was what, 2002?
He dyed his hair black. Yeah, it was.
They gave him a completely, like, he looked thinner in the face, and
yeah,
you know. But God, that guy. I love that guy. But anyway, so she ends up getting away. She gets off the flight because what does she do? What'd she do to get away?
she stabs him.
Exactly.
Whoa. Yeah, go ahead.
But it's in the neck.
Yeah.
Right in the trach. Which I thought he played that part really well, because the rest of the time he's like he's got to press it.
Oh, you mean how he fall through? Okay.
Yeah. Little girl throws her bag out to trip him. But yet people are like, oh, she stabbed him. There's got to be a reason, you assholes. Like, he's chasing her. There's something wrong. That was the only part of the movie I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, but with that being said, she gets in the car, steals a car. Did she get a burner phone, or was that her phone?
That was his phone.
His phone. Okay. Yeah. That was the only thing I don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, when she stabbed him, she took his phone.
But he was almost dead anyway. But the amount of times they tried to make the call on the flight, and it kept going dead, like, it just shows how technology is still not there for that. But I give him credit too, because she's faking the call, and he looks over and sees the other guy still got nothing.
Yeah, that's why. And if you notice the other little detail to that, when she went to call again, he made her move the phone to this side so he could see the backside to see if it was registering.
Yeah.
So there little attention to detail.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely perfect. Like I hate when I can pick apart a movie because of little things like that. And that was great. I loved how she just drove that dude right through the front of the house. I don't know why. That part made me happy. Like I don't even. But then again, and then Murphy got there so goddamn fast. I don't understand how.
Tight budget.
Well played.
Boom, boom.
We have $3. Just put them there.
They'll figure it out.
But I even thought like the whole scene through the house, the going through the house, the trying to stop him, and he's Dad's knocked out, and she moved Dad, and she ends up headbutting him, which didn't look like that was fun either. That was pretty solid. Did she ever actually shoot the gun?
Father did. No, she did, but she missed.
Or did she nick him?
I think she nicked him.
I think she nicked him. If I remember right, she nicked him. I did like how the dad
I don't remember
came
that
back
part.
and took care of it.
I can't remember now.
But Dad coming up clutch, though, that was good.
Right
I
at the end,
definitely
because
appreciated
she
that.
was done. But as a whole, love the movie. I don't consider these these are more thriller movies. Is this what this is considered?
A psychological thriller.
Yeah, consider it like a psychological.
Hitchcockian.
So is that a? So let me ask this: is that a typical Wes Craven type movie or no?
No. This is.
Isn't he more just straight horror, gross?
We're talking.
Well, he's not really gross, but
Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Last House on the Left. He did that movie Pulse. Do you remember Pulse? Pulse was awesome.
he did Cursed.
Yep. So yeah, this is
this
definitely
movie,
different.
and when I put this movie on, I realized it was a Wes Craven movie, and I was like, "This is the least Wes Craven movie I believe I've ever seen."
It does say here that the film received positive reviews from critics and fans of Craven's work.
You know what this movie reminded me of? Phone Booth.
I
Because
I forgot about that movie.
because you've got a singular path, a singular scene, making most with so little, and then there's more on the front and back end.
Okay. I haven't seen that movie so long I don't even remember it, but I do.
Colin
remember seeing
Farrell and
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yep.
it. I haven't seen that forever.
One thing I've read, and I can't remember what movie they were working with Wes Craven on, but I was kind of looking at just some random things about this movie, and I don't think it was actually part of this movie, but it was talking about Wes Craven, and it was one thing that made me actually, because I was outside of Scream, I was never a big Wes Craven fan because I'm not a Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And there's just a lot of his. I like him, but I'm just not a big fan of a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
But this guy that was working with him, and I can't remember what film, and I can't remember what the guy was doing, but it was an interview with him, and he was talking about his time working with Wes, and Wes said something to him that made me appreciate Wes a lot more than what I really have over the years. The guy actually asked Wes after he'd worked with him for a while. He goes, "How does it feel to be considered the master of horror?" And Wes responded with, "I don't know. Ask John Carpenter."
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, you know what? That gave me a new light on Wes Craven as a person.
I love that when people have humility and they're humble like that. I applaud it.
That's like anytime someone says that to Jordan just he cringes at it.
Yeah.
Then you got people like LeBron sitting there going, "That made me the greatest ever." Like those who talk like that.
LeBron or Jordan? Come on, people.
Jordan. I'm not a sports guy.
We all agree, Jordan. Yeah, that's just
the guy's on my license plate. Like
it's just our era. We saw that work put in.
I forgot how good this movie was. I'm glad that I picked it. I thought the cast was really good. I have not watched a lot of Craven's movies. I think I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street a long time ago. I don't even remember it. My wife loves the third one.
The third one's the best.
Dream Warriors is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a Nightmare on Elm, which is weird because I'm not a Nightmare on Elm Street fan. However, I think the character Freddy is great, and I think Robert Englund is great as Freddy. I love his cheesy one-liners, but
rewind. Why don't you like?
There's just something about the films that it annoys me. And I don't know why. Because
wouldn't have expected that.
It's
Because
like being around JP.
Because the character that Robert Englund plays is everything that you would think that I would love, and I do love what he does with the character. But there's something about the films that just annoys me. But Part 3, I actually do really enjoy that movie.
So, for me, and yes, I'm moving away from Red Eye for a moment here, but Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, the first big scene where the girl is going back and forth across the ceiling because she's being attacked in her sleep and blood's flying everywhere. I was just like, what's going on? This is magical. And then it became, holy shit, this dude controls dreams completely, and he can kill you in them. Like that.
Yeah.
That to me is horrific. It's got a element of an allure, a curiosity, if you will. And then when you start figuring out the backstory to Freddy just got even better. So.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I love Robert Englund in that character. And Wes Craven, I think it was a very innovative storyline that Wes Craven did with those films. I think he did it. He reinvented horror a second time better with Scream, the first one. Now the sequels are a little bit,
I don't mind them.
They're not. I don't mind. I think they're fun, but are they great? No. I can fully accept that they're not great films other than the first one. I think I loved his movie Cursed. I think Cursed was a great movie. It got hated on. A lot of people didn't like it, but I loved it as a werewolf movie. So Wes Craven's career, even with Red Eye, I don't hate Red Eye. It's a good movie. It doesn't feel like a Wes Craven movie, but it falls under a lot of the Wes Craven movies for me. It's pretty good, and
to me, to carry on that Wes Craven point, I did think there was a normalcy that sparked horror in itself in Cillian Murphy's character. So he was so smooth and so believable and so kind in his delivery and his approach to the Rachel McAdams character that when he did flip the script and did say that I'm here for you, when that moment happened, a transitional moment again for characters, when that moment happened, I saw a whole different element of horror, and I appreciated that coming from him.
He is really good at going from one to the other. And if you can hear that, jeez.
My cat is in heat, and she is annoying us.
He is really good at just one to the other, and that's why I appreciate him so much as far as how good of an actor he is. I think I need to dive down his hole a little bit more as far as finding out more movies. That's why I said, see what you do. I need to go down his list of movies, though, and really just see other stuff that he's done, because the first time I ever saw him was Batman Begins. And I enjoyed him on it, but I just felt like they didn't do him right on the part.
The first time I saw him was 28 Days Later. That was my first.
When did that come out?
That was in 2002.
So that came out at the same time as Batman Begins.
So Batman Begins was, I think, right after that.
2002.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I feel like 28 Days Later was...
Maybe it was 2003.
Yeah, I think it was a little later.
I know 28 Days Later came out before.
Where are we?
2002.
Batman Begins was 2005.
2005, yeah.
Oh, and I forgot, he was also in Cold Mountain, which my wife loves. Big chick flick there.
I had never seen that.
It's interesting from the Civil War standpoint, but it's definitely a chick flick. Not that there's anything wrong with those. But 28 Days Later was for sure the first one that I knew of and saw him in. And then as his career kept ramping, I was impressed to see him in things like he got into Tron Legacy. What else did he do right around that time? Inception. He definitely crushed it in a couple things. And to your point, too, with the Batman stuff, you said this earlier and you just brought up the Batman stuff again, but God, you're right. He was so underutilized in that, and I feel like that character element, when we're talking about seeing him flip, I would have loved to see him really go down the Scarecrow path for that villain.
I wish that they would have did it. I mean, I love the version of Scarecrow in the Arkham video games.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole new Batverse. That's what they're...
Yeah.
Which is what they need to do.
I enjoyed him as Scarecrow in Batman Begins. I thought his role was pretty solid in that film. It was just... in the follow-up films, just having him have little cameos was just a waste. He should have been in those movies,
Yeah.
You know.
Agreed. It's such a waste.
Yeah.
Flipping away from the Scarecrow element, the new rumor, which I hope to God comes to fruition, would be Dr. Doom. If he took over Dr. Doom, we'd get that psycho crazy...
I heard that he's in the running for Dr. Doom, and there was somebody else that they were...
I know, I saw the other one.
And I can't remember who but both of them
it was Henry
were good.
Cavill.
Was it Henry? I don't think what I saw was Henry Cavill. It was
Henry Cavill this past week got locked in as some character in Marvel Universe. I don't know what he can sign to, but supposedly he's locked in.
Kevin Feige said that he has signed, but he has not said what it is.
But
it's very worrisome with Dr. Doom role being casted. You know that's being casted,
and so what else I found out? So a lot of people who are more into the deep dives than myself, they already dug into the Deadpool 3 trailer, and the Deadpool 3 trailer has a lot of stills, and one of the stills happens to be a comic book of Secret Wars. And there's a plane where these secret wars, where all the heroes from all the different universes all fight in one space, basically, so they don't ruin their worlds, and they fight in this space. And on that cover of Secret Wars, Dr. Doom is half of that. So if they start going down that path, they'll hopefully fix whatever's going on with Marvel now, because right now it needs that love.
The Deadpool Wolverine trailer is fantastic.
Yeah.
I still like though just the when they did that like a year ago where Hugh walked by and he goes, "Hey, you want to do a movie or whatever?" You're like, "All right." And just walked I was like, "Yes." Like, and I've never seen any of the Wolverine movies. Like,
wasn't that pre-pandemic that we got that though? Wasn't that? I mean, I feel like that was
been
earlier.
It's been a couple years.
Yeah, I feel like that was supposed to be sooner, but it got pushed out because all that shit.
Yeah, I've not been really excited about a lot of stuff Marvel. But I've been excited for that, for sure.
The way they use the TVA in the trailer.
Yeah.
And the way that you just see almost Ryan Reynolds' face or Deadpool light up. Like, I've got a whole playground. And as you see, like, they can fix so much. They can have so many different characters come back. They have so much to work with here. I hope it's done well.
So do you know what I like about...
He called himself the Messiah, the Marvel Messiah, and he called himself Marvel Jesus.
Yes, in the commercial. So back to the movie.
Do you know what I liked about this movie?
What did you like about this movie?
Quick and to the point, 85 minutes.
See, and
unlike
my
140-minute movies of nothingness
and emptiness and existentialism.
No one knows what the hell they're talking about.
I did, but whatever.
I will say this movie still could have been shorter. They could have filmed this as a short film. They really could have.
So to that point, though, before
20 minutes
before we filmed this, I found out that this was highly influenced by Alfred Hitchcock when they're building the screenplay. So to that point, I agree. I almost feel like this could have been like. I'm glad it's a movie, but it could have been an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah. I will say, I was looking for some random facts on this movie, and there's a lot of, there is some random facts, but none of them that were really worth mentioning. Yeah. One thing I did come up, I don't know if you guys saw this, but while Cillian Murphy was doing interviews for Oppenheimer, he talked about this movie. Oppenheimer, how do you say it?
Oppenheimer, but go ahead.
He said that he did not like this movie.
Really?
Cillian Murphy.
I feel that I've actually heard him say that before.
Yeah. He said the interview he was saying that he did not like this movie. Just wasn't what it. it didn't turn out the way he thought it was going to turn out. But in the same interview, he was like praising Rachel McAdams, her portrayal of the character in the film.
See, I really like her in the Sherlock Holmes movies.
So you know what that tells me? This is funny. What that tells me is that based on what we found from The Abyss, I feel like that's their way of shitting on the director. Like they had a problem with the director, but my co-stars were great, but director.
I don't actually think it was so much. I think Cillian Murphy is hard on himself. He strikes me as that kind of person. I think he went back and watched it and was hard on himself, but praised Rachel and it was why he didn't like it.
Fair.
And in the same interview, he actually said he typically doesn't like to go back and watch his films because he critiques himself too much and he's too hard on himself. And I think that's really the reason why he's not a fan of this movie.
Every concert I play, get off stage, I'm like, that was the worst vocal performance I've ever done. And I listen back and I'm like, that wasn't as bad. I was really, really mean on myself. Like, I get it. So
we talked about it already, but the budget for this was $26 million. Box office did 96.2. So it's not bad.
I think people came out to watch this movie. I think they came out just because it was a Wes Craven movie.
I think the other side of it too with Rachel McAdams. I just think she had too much hype with The Notebook, and people were all about her at that moment.
Yeah,
I actually forgot that she was the Notebook chick. So the fact that you remembered that is adorable.
Yeah, because that was one of those few movies my wife broke me with. I'm not gonna lie. I will openly admit I cried Notebook.
Never seen it.
Yeah, there's with my grandfather passed away of Alzheimer's, and there's this moment at the end of the Notebook where this couple's been together in a lifetime. He has Alzheimer's, and she climbs in bed with him, and that's they pass away.
Did I see the Notebook?
It's pretty beautiful moment though, and it's hit a little something. And my wife's okay. I guess I'll live that long with her.
Is this the one where they buy the house and then he goes back to like living in it or whatever? What was this?
I couldn't tell you because I never actually seen the Notebook.
When me and Heather met, we spent a day watching movies, and if I remember right, this was one of them.
One of the other movies that got to me on a big level like that was a movie you brought up before on our podcast is Big Fish. I love the movie Big Fish.
No, I love Big Fish.
He brought that up.
Oh, you brought it up.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I love Big Fish.
You want to talk about a movie with imagination and creativity and beauty? That's
because
solid.
I was talking about how I hate Tim Burton, but that movie
actually
is amazing.
Gonna add that to my list.
Actually, I was about to ask you guys something. All right, hey, since we're running a little fast on this one, I do have a question. Tail end, garbage time. One movie that your wife will make you watch whenever it's on, and you just have no choice.
Oh, well,
it has to be a movie.
TV.
Because if that is just going to be serial killer documentaries, if it's
like
anything.
Okay, let me rephrase. You're flipping channels, and all of a sudden, that's on. This is happening.
Halloween.
That's what she picks every time.
So mine's like my wife loves horror, so it's usually Halloween or Scream or Friends.
Yeah, Halloween.
I won't talk shit about Friends. Halloween, first 3 seasons are great.
Halloween or Scream, yeah. That's a fair.
So my wife loves horror movies, but if I have seen Sweet Home Alabama at least 7 times in the last 3 years.
I don't remember that.
It's Reese Witherspoon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I know it.
It's not a bad movie, but it's just I've seen it 7 times.
What's the there was Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman. It's like Lenny Kravitz's daughter, and Bill Skarsgård. They did a show on HBO recently, and she made me watch that, and that was actually way better than I thought it was going to be. It's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to find the show. That's going to happen.
Yeah, I've seen Sweet Home Alabama more times. If I never saw it again, I'd probably still remember every scene.
Yeah, it's usually If Halloween's on, she'll watch that. If it's Scream is on, any of the Screams or any of the Halloweens, it's just she'll watch them.
I remember the first Halloween we were together, first October.
Big Little Lies. Sorry.
Never even heard of it.
It's good.
We got about halfway through the month of October, and she's like, "What are we gonna watch tonight?" And I was like, "Anything without screaming. I need a break." Because that's all she had on was horror. Like, it was like whatever channel, like AMC or whatever, just runs horror movies for a month straight. It was just constant screaming from the TV. I just needed a break.
See, I'm okay with that. Well, I just have a hard time with all these fucking crime, like First 48 and serial killer stuff.
We'll watch the new First 48s and stuff, or like we'll find like a good documentary on something that's like interesting. But
see, and I enjoyed it for a while, but when it's on 24/7 and it's all that she watches, it's just like at this point I just come in and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I either we're turning it or I'm going downstairs or I'm going to go do something else because I just can't do it anymore. And there was one, and actually I think the turning point for me was a few months ago. She was watching one that was like some kind of like they actually had like interviews with these serial killers, and there was this one that had killed a bunch of small children, and the stuff that this guy was saying that they were interviewing, and I just sat there and watched a few minutes of it, and I looked at her and I said, "You need to cut this fucking shit off," because like he literally this fucking
like justifying it.
Yeah, he literally talked about how he raped and murdered like this 9-year-old little girl. And I got so mad. I looked at my wife and I was like, "You cut this shit off." I was like, "I don't want to see this stupid shit in my house on this TV of some guy telling me what he did to this little girl, and he's still breathing air."
Right.
Like this is not going to happen in my home anymore. And it was that point that that I really everything she watches is like that. A lot of it is like Forensic Files or First 48. It's from the cop's perspective.
Right.
But since then, it's been a turning point in my head that I'm just done with all of them, and I get disgusted by all of it now that I can't watch it.
Well,
so to that point, even though it's not movie topic, they I think it was Ecuador 2 days ago. If a child is over 14 and they're touched, you're chemically castrated. If they're under 13, you are physically castrated. They made it law, and now New Mexico has these things in law too. Sorry, because that shit pisses me off too.
I mean,
so
that's a step in the right direction.
It's not death, but
but it's not death.
It needs to be.
It doesn't fix the problem completely.
Well, with Red Eye,
ratings.
I give it a 4.065.
What if we put hot coals up? Anyways, you went 4.5?
4.05.
Oh, 0.5.
He has to have all those points and decimals, and
they all add up in the end, pal.
So 4.1. Okay. Rounding up. Wait a minute. You went first with your big rating.
He was excited.
Okay, you go ahead.
I'm gonna hit it in the middle ground. I'm gonna say because this movie, it's good. I don't hate it, but it's really just a mediocre film. To me, it's a mediocre Wes Craven film, even at that. I'm gonna throw it in 2.9.
Wow, that's pretty low. All right, so first time watch for me. Pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting what I got out of it. Cillian Murphy did a great job. Rachel McAdams responded well off of him. Their chemistry on screen was great. It delivered where it needed to. So for me, I'm gonna go 3.2 nerds. I think that's a fair assessment.
You said mine's low, but you're not really far off.
No,
we're in the middle ground. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's
would I rave about it?
It's definitely not a Heart Huckabee. is not
No, that's a stellar movie.
that piece of shit that I still don't know what the fuck I watched.
I love the guy who's responsible for multiple pieces of shit, found one piece of shit out of me, and he's like, I'm going to go for it.
You know what? I can accept the movies that are pieces of shit that I've put on here.
He admits they are.
Because they don't pretend to be anything else other than the trash that they are. I Heart Huckabee disguised itself with good actors trying to portray itself as a good movie, and it was not.
It was a
superb
movie.
It was a lie.
Of self-exploration.
If you say so.
I feel it in my bones.
Where can they find us?
If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions for us, 3cinenerds@gmail.com is the email. If you want to check us out on any of the platforms you use for your podcast, viewing, or listening, it's in our Facebook bio, along in our link tree. And we also have a merch store there.
Oh, yeah, shirt.
I still need to order a shirt. I haven't done it yet. Please go to our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you're listening to us on. Leave a review. It helps. So, yeah, give us a review. Give us a follow. Give us a share. Subscribe. Invite people. You know the drill. Just do all that.
Any of your like-minded cinema friends, share it with them, please.
If you're watching this on YouTube and you listen on Spotify or you have Spotify, just follow us on Spotify so it gives us some followers. Even if you're watching us on YouTube, just give us a follow, review, comment. You can comment on our YouTube. Yeah, that's kind of the drill.
Do it. I dare you.
I double dog dare you.
I triple dog dare you.
You get your tongue stuck on the pole, bro.
Giggity.
Well, we've made
Giggity. We were going to say our exit, but James is lost for a moment. We'll get him back shortly.
Bye.
CineNerds out.
Later.